Hey, what's going on, guys? The Heart Pirates TCG here, and I'm actually bringing you a deck profile and kind of like a tournament report on what exactly happened when I brought Kaido to Kaido right here to a locals and a case tournament. The locals I actually ended up winning. I went 5-0, and then the case tournament I ended up going 1-2 and dropped. I actually played the same level of competition in both of the tournaments, at the case tournament and the locals, so it wasn't that I faced better competition. It's just sometimes Kaido can be really strong, and sometimes he's just very underwhelming or very average, and these other decks are just better a lot of the time. I built this deck in a very unique way, and I'll just explain why I chose the cards I chose throughout the video. So we'll just get started, right? So we're playing 4 Onigashima. Onigashima is still your it's literally your engine of the deck. If you don't see this card, you mulligan to see this card. It doesn't matter what your hand is, it'll most likely be able to work if you have Onigashima. Sad to say, that's still the truth. The consistent ramping is it's very important to the deck, and it's just almost impossible to play without it. Almost. I try to make it work, but we're playing a small Impel Down version, so we're playing 3 Hannibal. Hannibal, you don't really, you only are really searching for your defensive cards, your Hell's Judgments and your Sadies, your little Sadies. Other than that, he's a 1k counter if you really need him in a pinch. Also, I like dropping him on the field against Zoro or against Green, because you can kill their Momonosuke's or their Bonnies. Because he's a 2000 body. Right now, if they have a blocker, you have an extra card to attack with. And then we're playing Shiki. We're playing 4 of those. I'm sorry, 4 Shiki. There it is, right there. So 4 Shiki. Shiki is really good because you can actually push for game with her if they are not able to kill you, and you trigger this on the crackback. It's an extra body, so 2 Dawn allocated towards her, or him, whatever. Will actually get you in lethal range, or 3 if you're playing against Whitebeard. It's also a 2k counter. It's good against Zoro just because when you trigger it, it's another body to play on the field that can kill their Sunny Coons and their Namis and all those annoying cards, so it actually is very helpful into the Zoro and the Law matchup a lot of the times. And it can go for lethal, and it's a 2k counter. This is actually the best 2k counter in the game for purple right now, in my opinion. Then we're playing Little Sadie. I'm literally only playing her as a counter. I'm not even playing any of the Jailer Beasts, because they don't get their second effect because your leader is not an Impel Down, and I just don't think it's that useful to have those cards. I'd rather keep Sadie as defense anyway. I'm playing a total of 12 2k counters, and the last 2k counter is the Sasaki right here. Sasaki is actually there just for the ramp. That's why I chose him over X-Drake and like Orochi or something like that, just because like if I don't draw Oni and I see this and like a couple dead cards in hand, depending on the matchup, I'll play this. Hopefully he lives, and I'll ramp 1. Maybe even ramp 2, who knows. But yeah, so 12 2k counters, and we're playing 8 events, which I think is the perfect amount. We had double Blast Breath. Blast Breath is really, really, really good. It's just like if you don't see Oni or a card that I'm gonna surprise you guys with, actually probably the thumbnail is gonna see you're gonna see him anyway. So 8-drop Kaido. So if you don't see Oni or 8-drop Kaido, this is like I don't like using this unless it's like really necessary, and it's very sad that that's the case. This deck just, like, without the ramping, it just falls apart. It's really tough. It's really tough. Then we're playing 4 Hell's Judgment. Hell's Judgment is fantastic into the decks that like to swing like 5 different times, like Law and Zoro and stuff like that. But if you're playing against powerful decks, for example like Boatbeard or Kinemon, then this can actually save your like your bigger cards, because they'll swing for like 12, like 11 or 12, and all you need is like a Hell's Judgment and then like a 1k counter or something like that to get out of it. And a lot of times they do try to swing for your board because it's very threatening, and it gives you a lot of tempo and card advantage. So the last 2 that I'm playing are Brachio Bomber. Brachio Bomber is actually just for that, like, it's just for those turns that like you can't, like, you could play King, but it wouldn't like kill anything. Or like it's for like the weird in between turns, where like you can't drop 8-drop Kaido or 9-drop Kaido just yet. It can kill things like if you're playing against Luffy, it can kill Thatch, it can kill Rush Luffy, it can kill Law, it can kill Hawkins if they play that. Just a lot of stuff that can be really annoying. This is actually the best removal for it. It ramps a card, and then on trigger it ramps a card too. So I actually really like Brachio at 2. In the mirror, I actually played against another Kaido, and this card was insanely good. Like, it was like the game came down and was like, okay, who had the Brachio Bomber? And I had the Brachio Bomber. Next, we're playing only 3 Domino, because it feels like Domino can just get killed by like literally everything. It's very annoying. I honestly, throughout the entire 2 or 3 tournaments I played this deck with, I mainly used her as a 1k counter because, I couldn't find the Dawn. Like, I was always playing bigger cards, so like finding the Dawn to play her if I draw into her was just not really an option. And, her being a 1k counter, she counts as a blocker because I took an attack essentially. And saved a 2k for another time. So yeah, Domino was okay. The only reason you play her is because she's impel down, she's searchable. That's the only reason. And you don't want to whiff off Hannibal. And then for the Zoro and the Law matchup, playing 3 Shiryu. I like this card a lot at 3. I think it was incredibly powerful against Law and Zoro. I did play against a few of those. I did win. I lost my Law matchup, but I played horrible. I played so bad. And that's on me. But it was definitely a winnable matchup, but I Hell's Judgmented the wrong card, and it just kind of cost me. So, yeah, that's that. Shiryu is really good to the Zoro matchup as well, just like killing their Sunny Coons, sniping their Namis before they can even like attack with them. It's huge. Then we're playing 4 Queen. Queen is just really good this format because there's not a lot of cards that can kill her. Like, people are playing less Jet Pistol than they were before. If you guys have been watching my channel for a long time, when I played Blurple Croc, I actually didn't play Queen at all, because like the Dawn -1 really hurt, and like you already drew enough cards. But in this version of the deck, Queen, or like in this meta, Queen is very powerful because if they don't Jet Pistol her, he's a blocker. I don't know. He's a blocker, and also if they try to Sakazuki, like I already got a +1, technically a +2 with Queen because she's a body and I drew a card and probably discarded a dead card, so it's possibly either a +1 or a +2. And then playing Sakazuki is technically like essentially like a -1. So like, between my +2 and his -1, like this card is really strong into black. The only thing that really kills it, like hurts it, is just Kuzan because it's just an easy target to out. But if you can play in like the middle stages of the game, it's really good. So that's Queen right there. Then playing 3 Guild Tsuru. This card is actually the engine of the deck. So this card, Oni, and 8-drop Kaido are the engines of the deck. For those of you guys who don't know what this guy does, is Dawn -2, draw 2 cards. That it's incredible. I mean, there have been games that like there were games where like I had to grind out against like a Kinemon or grind out against a Doflamingo, and this card was just pivotal. Like, they couldn't get off the field. Like, their Mihawks, like they either didn't draw the Mihawk or they dropped it. I bottom decked it. I played another one. If you can, so like the idea is you play this on curve, Guild Tsuru. Next turn you play Queen, then you swing with Guild, and then obviously you draw 2 from Queen. Then you swing with Guild, and then draw 2 from that, from the Dawn that you already used, and you drew essentially 4 cards in one turn. And we play 12 2k counters. We play 6 defensive events. So we're completely safe from taking a ton of life the next turn. And then we can just do it all over again, like unless they have like spot removal, like if we're playing against black or like maybe a Jet Pistol, that's the only thing that can kill this card. But if they're playing against if you're playing against Kinemon, there's almost no way they can kill it, because even if they rest it, you have like Hell's Judgment, you have like a 2k counter, you have like a ton of stuff to protect him. So you're just constantly getting like advantage off this card, and they're trying to take him off. They're trying to get him off the field as soon as humanly possible, and sometimes they just can't do it, and you draw like 4 to 8 cards. Like it's really good. And and that's why I chose to play Guild. I just think he's really strong. And then we're playing 4 6-drop kings. This actually was not that good. It was great into the Dofi matchup, and it felt like I always had it when I played against Dofi. But I only played against 2 Dofis, and I would rather. I wish this was at like maybe 3, possibly like 2 to 3, because the 4th one just it was dead so much, and I'd rather. I think I need to change the deck just a little bit if I do play this in future tournaments to, you know, maybe play some rampers early on. That way I have some early game rampers like Onigashima and like maybe Uta or something like that, or Ulti. You know, like one of the early game rampers, and then I have the late game ramper with 8-drop Kaido. So this was good, but it wasn't that great because it just basically killed like Marco, and Marco just came back. He killed a Kuzan one time, so that was okay. Yeah, I definitely changed the ratios on this king to something that fits it. And then we're playing, that's a big guy. Then we're playing 3 8-drop Kaidos, right? I know you guys are like, what in the hell are you doing, right? Guys, this 8-drop Kaido is insane. He was so good this entire tournament. If I can get him on the field, he's not leaving the field, and he is a 9k body that gives you a Dawn every single turn. Not only, like, if you have this and Oni, not only are your guild Tsuros free, you know, like drawing 2 for free, literally no consequences, but also you can trash lives for free. There have been games where, like, I either had like this card and Oni, and then I had this card Oni and then another Oni in hand, and I'll trash a life, use Oni's effect, play another Onigashima, use Oni's effect, and end of turn get this, do the rest of the turn, get this Dawn, and then you basically got 5 Dawn in one turn. Or if you don't play the other Oni, you got 4 Dawn. You get 4 Dawn in one turn. So like trashing a life is like nothing. You literally recover it in 2 turns. And then it's not like you're at 0 Dawn the next. If you get 5 Dawn, you're at 8, right? So like you use that 8 Dawn to either play like a king or something like that, and then you can beef up your big boys and just swing super heavy. Like there's just so many different ways of play with this card, and the reason I'm playing this deck now, I didn't like Kaido back in the other set, but the reason I like him more now is just because there's so many different ways of playing, because 10-drop Kaido, no one's playing 10-drop Kaido, so once he's on the board, he's safe. And then also, like, if you're grinding against a Whitebeard, sometimes like when they're at 9 Dawn, they can't drop their Newgate because like you'll just put 10 on him and swing 19, and they better hope they can counter out of it. You know, like they still need to counter out of a 19 swing. They need, you know, a Radical Beam to go to 12, and they need like 4 2k counters, and that like depletes, you know, 60 to 80% of their hand right then and there. If they can't, then they just lose. It's really good. This card is fantastic. It plays in a Whitebeard pretty well. I did lose to a Whitebeard in the tournament, but it was very close. I didn't draw Onigashima, so that's that. And then the last 3 cards I'm playing are 3 9-drop Kaidos. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about, like, Kaido's self-explanatory, right? But let me tell you like why I like this variant of the deck just a little bit better than the other ones, and that's because it's not completely reliant on Onigashima. Like I said, in both the tournament that I won, I drew absolutely insane. I drew Onigashima like 4 out of the 5 rounds. I drew like Brachio Bomber when I needed it. I had like the perfect curve into like Oni, into Guild, into 8-drop Kaido, like that type of thing right there. Like those curves are incredible. You know, like, and it feels really good, but when you don't get Oni, it's sometimes okay depending on the matchup, because if you can drop 8-drop on time, then you got that free ramp. The reason I play this is because you can grind opponents out with Guild. You can just beat them down with like the Kaidos. Like there's just different lanes and avenues of play, and it doesn't lose to a whole lot. It just loses to itself, right? So it can lose to Zoro. Zoro can be tough, but if you open up like Oni and Shiryu's, like 1 or 2 Shiryu's, or like Shiryu and then a 6-drop King, like it helps a lot more. And the matchup is not as bad as you might think. I played against one of our guys at our locals. Is really good. He's one of our judges there. I played against him in one of the tournaments, and it literally came down to the wire. He ended up beating me, but like our game was crazy close. So like this deck, it can compete with the best decks in the game. It just loses to itself, and that's why I still don't think Kaido is that great of a deck to bring into a more high end tournament. I just wanted to give it a chance because, you know, you guys keep telling me like on my tier list that I make that, you know, how wrong I am about some of these decks. And I agree. Like, I never said purple. Maybe I did say it, right? You know, clip that and send it to me, right? But I don't think I ever said purple is terrible. I just think I think it loses to a lot of stuff right now. Like, I think like it can lose to red aggression pretty quickly. If you don't draw the cards you need to draw. Like, I had to build this deck around red's aggression to stabilize and get to late game. And red's only going to get more aggressive. So it can lose to red aggression, which really hurts. It can lose to itself, which really hurts. It can lose to just, you know, people ignoring your characters and just trying to rush you down to 0 life. Like if they just drop Odin on curve and swing 15-15, like there's almost nothing you can do about that. That right there, because you're just not playing enough blockers, and you can't play enough blockers because you need some type of mid game, you need some rampers, you need all this type of stuff. It's a very tough situation to be in. I just think it lacks something, and I don't know what. Obviously I can change this a little bit, put some Utas in there to help with the early game ramping. But yeah, I just don't think it's going to be that consistently good. If you guys have anything to say, make sure to let me know in the comments. I am going to be streaming, actually from this point on, semi-consistently. I recently just left my job, so I'll have a lot more time for that. But yeah, I let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.